What's up? How's everybody going? Doing? How's everybody going? Everybody doing good?
Yeah, I'm good. How's everyone?
Doing good. How's everybody?
It's good. All right, I'm just gonna wait a few seconds for everybody to get in if they're gonna get in. Hold on. Just trying to start the Spotify. I always forget like last second. Sorry. That's my bad. All right. Well, we have lots of things, lots of different topics that we're gonna talk about today. Maybe a little shorter than usual, but still gonna have many topics and many debates possibly that we're gonna be talking about today. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, which color, see how our names are blue? Do you want to change that color or which color would you prefer? If not blue. Do you have any preference? Do you want to go
Make
dark
me
side?
green, so I can be like Qui-Gon.
All right, so one red and one green. I have to see. I'm the debate changer. I will go. I'll do red and green half. How about that? Or like we start off with red or something like that. How's that look?
That's more of an orange.
Yeah, that's like an orange red.
And okay, let's see if I can do a fully green one.
Hold on. I kind of like the green. No, go back to the other green.
This one like up here.
Yeah, I like that green.
That's cool. All right. Well, I got lots of topics. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and start and talk about them if you want.
Don't you want to tell people what we got? I can do that.
Are you talking about my subscribers?
No, I'm talking about like the list of things we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we're just going to do it.
You can't just tell people we got a lot of topic. No, we're not going to.
Okay, fine. The main
we're going to tell everyone. Okay. We got, ready for this? We're going to talk about the Fives arc and Clone Wars. Okay, that's our first topic. Topic number 1. Then we're going to have a question answered by yours truly of StarForce. Why Anakin wasn't hunted down during Order 66. Then we're going to have a discussion about Darth Revan and the history of Darth Revan.
Then you're Christian.
Yeah, but brought to you by yours truly, me. And then we're going to talk about the Ahsoka Show. And then we're going to talk about why we think Star Wars was so successful. Then we're going to have a debate. Okay, so everyone put their information in beforehand. But we're going to have a debate. Who is better, clones or stormtroopers? Okay. And then we're going to finish it all off with a good Jedi Council Q&A. So
that's going to be something that I think everybody should stick around for because it's going to be a fun one, especially with everybody that's here. These two guests, everybody that's here. Okay, well, let's go ahead and begin if you want. I'm ready when y'all are.
Yeah, let's get into this first one.
Okay, so let me pull up the banner here. Let's talk about the Fives arc from the Clone Wars. Actually, no, the Fives arc is in Rebels, I think.
No, the Fives arc is in Clone Wars.
Yeah, Clone Wars.
I'm joking.
You're just being ridiculous.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what you got?
Well, first thing here that I had written down here is I had an interesting thought about, because I recently watched the Fives arc again recently, about last week or 2 weeks ago, and my thought was, do you think Anakin would believed Fives when Fives had told him that Palpatine was behind everything right before he died? Do you remember that part? When
at the beginning of season 6. I believe.
Yes,
wasn't it
so like the episode 3 or 4. Yeah, it's season 6.
Because that part of Fives arc was like season 6, episode 1 through 3.
I
believe.
so.
Right.
So no,
1 through 4.
See, I don't know. That could have been because some you know, some of the Jedi were kind of suspecting Palpatine. You know, some people were suspecting Palpatine wasn't who he said he was. I mean, or because I mean, he was like everywhere, and anytime it really had to deal with anything mysterious, he was always at the head of it. Like for instance, the Zillo Beast. I mean, there's no need for him to be there. So, I mean, so maybe if Fives had said that it was Palpatine doing all this, and would have been more forthcoming about the information to the entire Jedi Council, or maybe just to Obi-Wan and Anakin, it probably would have. I don't know. I feel like it would have been different. So
yeah, if Five said that Palpatine was behind all this and brought it to them, I think they would have done some serious thinking about it.
Or if he wasn't so hesitant to shoot Palpatine, because I mean, isn't that where Fives was killed? Was in a warehouse? No. Yeah,
I think it was one of the warehouse.
He was in a warehouse, but he wasn't.
Yeah, it was in a warehouse, and he had kidnapped
Rex and Anakin.
Because he had kidnapped Palpatine, the Supreme Chancellor. He was in a warehouse, and Anakin and Rex and I think a couple other clones showed up, and they were telling him not to do it, and he's sitting there trying to, you know, kind of make sense of all this information, try to tell them about it. But I feel like if he would have shot the Chancellor and then would have explained why he did it, would have been different as well. I feel like that should have been the case.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for your answering. Now, what I think, this is my opinion about if Anakin would have believed Fives, I think that Anakin, no matter what, about how he was like possibly, you know, what happened to Tup, the what was it called, like his he's gone crazy, whatever you call it. So I think he would have thought Fives was doing that same thing. Maybe it was contagious somehow or something like that. But he's close enough to Palpatine to think that he can't be involved with something that evil. Well, Anakin is. So I think even though how close Anakin Fives are, I think he thinks he's crossed the line, possibly, and there's nothing he can do for him unless
I see that, because I think that was pretty clear in the way that, I mean, Anakin wanted to believe him, but at the same time, it kind of felt like Anakin internally was like, this isn't right. But I think that was probably why that part of the Fives arc was so good, because it really just brought so much depth into that whole scenario. So
right. And there's one more thing, actually. So do you think Fives actually knew about Order 66? Do you think Palpatine, when he brought him to that room, do you think he told Fives everything, like his entire plan, or did he just lie to him, like saying, you were right, something random? Do you think he actually told him the truth?
I don't think he would have told him everything just for fear. Well, maybe not necessarily fear, but, you know, just because he wouldn't necessarily know how Fives would react with the information. So I don't think he would have told him everything, but just telling him that he was correct and the fact that he was behind it was pretty much all they needed. So he didn't need to know about Order 66 just because there was other orders that were very similar to Order 66. So,
right. There's a lot of orders, for sure.
Wasn't there like 150? Wasn't there 150 clone?
Exactly how many subscribers I have. That's how many orders. So each one of my subscribers is a specific order. Wow, that would
Order 66 or subscriber 66 is
subscriber 66. Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah. Does it tell you? Yeah, I think they would know possibly if they are or not. I think. Now you have anything to say on the subject, Ian? Or
see, I might remember this completely
a
whole lot different. the way I remember it is what Fives contacted Rex and Anakin to meet him in a warehouse to tell him what's going on. And
Right.
the
Tell him what he
troopers
knows.
were following, and I think the troopers had backup just in case. And so he talked to him, and then then the troopers barged in, and then it was pretty much a shoot off. That's how I remember it. It might be different.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's
I
what
don't
happened.
remember it. I don't remember him kidnapping the Chancellor. He might have. I might need to go back and refresh.
No, I don't think he did. I think he was poisoned. You remember he was one of the Kamoni. I never can say it right. Kaminoans. I think Kaminoan. Yeah, they poisoned the Fives. I think, and that made him act kind of weird. That was definitely one of my favorite arcs. Oh yeah, there's an interesting question. Who shot Fives? I think who shot Fives was Fox, right? Commander Fox.
Was it Commander Fox? I can't remember. I don't even remember
Palpatine's
the last time I saw that.
I think it was Palpatine's personal.
It would have been like Palpatine's personal guard or something.
Or right. Like a security guards, maybe like that.
Right. I think
that would make sense.
Sure. Okay, well, that was the main thing I wanted to talk about regarding the Fives arc, and I think it's probably one of my favorite arcs, I would have to say. It's a lot of different stuff. I like that. What's that robot? The little droid on Camino. So many different ways you could say that. That little droid he's a pretty funny guy, I think. But okay, well, let's move on to our next topic here down the list. We'll keep it the same color. Why wasn't Anakin hunted down once Order 66 was executed? So this was actually my question that I wanted to answer. So if you don't mind, I'll answer. I'll try answering it first, and you can say whatever you think. After. So what I think was that Order 66, inside the chip inside the heads, could easily be possibly mistaken for like a growth, like what Tup had, like a tumor or something like that inside their head, or a malfunction. That's what you would say. And he didn't realize the people didn't realize that the chip took over him. The Tup didn't realize that. My bad. So the Fives arc wasn't just explaining how the chips worked, but it was everything that Palpatine did. It was that Fives arc was to show us that everything Palpatine did was not perfect, or it was not flawless, but that there was near misses, and I think that's what makes this arc, or the entire Clone Wars, like tragic for the Jedi Council, knowing that possibly they could have, if only they had talked to the right people at the right time, the Order 66 could possibly have been avoided, and they would have changed the decision. Like every decision, each different one, each person, it could have changed everything, perhaps. So even if I think it was Shakti in one of the episodes back then, like if I remember if she had only talked to, like, said, you know what, Fives is definitely as big back then at that moment, and only if they have made the right choices, everything would have been different. That was my opinion. So I think, that wasn't really the answer to the question, actually. So why wasn't Anakin hunted down? I think because Palpatine knew that he had to take a risk, and he wanted Anakin as his apprentice. So even if he had not turned to the dark side, he thought maybe Palpatine could still defeat Anakin in combat.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because we know Palpatine was trying to groom Anakin throughout the entirety of Revenge of the Sith even before he killed Count Dooku. So, when when Sidious told Anakin to kill Count Dooku, you obviously saw the look of betrayal on Dooku's face. And so pretty much from that moment on, it seemed like Palpatine was definitely trying to convince Anakin that, he was good, or what he was doing was good. So it would make sense if he would have instructed the clones or had it planted or something, would have wouldn't have killed Anakin. Or it could have also been the fact that Anakin didn't have any clones around him. Because, in the movie, when you saw a lot of the Jedi who died, they were leading their troop. When Ki-Adi-Mundi was killed, he was leading his squad. So a lot of them were with their clones, but Anakin may not have been, because he would have been with Palpatine. So
That's
very
true.
similar to what you were saying. So that definitely makes sense that Palpatine would have done something. So
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that a lot of people think that Palpatine's plan was perfect, but I think that it wasn't. Like, he could have done better. And that, do you think Palpatine had planned every single thing perfectly, or do you think that sometimes he made mistakes?
I wouldn't be surprised if he made a few mistakes, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he had maybe adjustments to his plan if something didn't go right. So maybe if Anakin had refused to join him, I'm pretty sure he'd still have something set up to take care of Anakin, or have something done where that still wouldn't inhibit or prohibit him from becoming the Emperor. But I feel like he probably would have made mistakes early on, but having this grand scheme, but especially with the help of his master, because didn't Sidious and Plagueis come up with this plan together, but Sidious carried it through? So
yeah, actually, I remember something that Darth Plagueis had told. Was he the one that told Sifo Dyas about the clone army, the clone army, or? And then
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at that material and talked about that. But maybe next time I'll go into more detail on that anyway. But Ian, you got anything else to say regarding this?
Well, what I think why Anakin wasn't hunted down, because since the clones, you just said execute Order 66, and they just snap and be like, all right, let's do it. I think that they could have just been execute Order 66 and put a code or program in their chips saying not to kill Anakin Skywalker. See, that's how I see it, because since it's a chip, it can be very programmed. They could just send a message and they'll fulfill it, pretty much. So that's how I think why Anakin wasn't hunted down.
There could be another way that happened, because the way that Yoda and Ahsoka survived. They were there with a bunch of clones, but they had sensed something was wrong before it happened and had taken care of it. Maybe Anakin. Anakin was the chosen one. He was the strongest in the Force. So there's a possibility that they tried to hunt him down, and he would have killed maybe all of his clones or something. So that could have been a possibility as well.
Maybe. Good points. Appreciate you giving your thoughts on that. All right. Well, here we go. We're moving on to Christian's favorite. Is it still your favorite character, or one of your favorites?
Definitely one of my favorites, but
Darth Revan, or Revan, however you say it. I say Revan.
I'm pretty sure it's Revan. Pretty sure that's the way everyone says it. So
okay, good. Well, this is a topic just talking about mainly just comes. I'm not sure, but cool facts about him. Is that what you said, or just
kind of cool facts? Just kind of quick overview about who he is. Just kind of more about the character, because the only way anyone ever knows about the character is if they read a lot of the comics and books and played the old games or something like that.
Is it Knights of the Old Republic? He's in that game.
Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know if he was in any of the Battlefronts or not. I didn't play a lot of the old games, so I don't necessarily know.
Okay.
Um,
Do you want me to
but-
solo you like this?
Sure. So
Is
I
it-
mean, Revan's a cool character just due to the complexity of his character. His time in canon, he is a canon character, but his appearances in canon have been gypped. He's been very cut short. There's the only reason why he is connected to canon just due to slight references to what he did in the past. So that's pretty much the only reason why he's never physically appeared in canon. So that's why he's kind of been gypped. I believe he was supposed to show up in a few movies and things, but last minute they changed it, which kind of stinks because Revan is such a great character, like I said. Of the complexity. So his story in Legends is a whole lot better. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So for those of you who don't know what Legends is, this is the extended universe, or what was canon before Disney bought Star Wars. So Legend was originally canon. Disney bought Star Wars. Disney was like, nope, that's no longer canon. We'll keep it, and we'll just call it like Legends. So Revan in the Legends was born in the year 3994 BBY, or before the Battle of Yavin, in the Outer Rim territories. Revan is the only name that he was known by. It was a name that he brought on as himself during his time at the Jedi Council. He had such an insatiable hunger for knowledge and for knowledge that he quickly rose throughout the Jedi temple and was the Jedi's most promising pupil. He was a very charismatic critic of the Order and the way of their inactivity and the way they did not participate in a lot of things that Revan felt like they should. The big one being the Mandalorian Wars. The Mandalorian Wars was, I believe it was a civil war between no, it wasn't a civil war. It was a war between the Galactic Republic and the Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders. So Revan at this time was being very rebellious, very much like Anakin. He disobeyed the council and started fighting in this war with his friend Malak. Revan, soon to be one of the most powerful and promising warriors, and was pretty much leading the entire army. He was such a great warrior that some considered him to be a god of their culture, or like a force prophesied warrior or something. And he flipped back and forth between the dark side and the light side very often. His first brush with the dark side was actually when he rebelled and fought in the Mandalorian Wars, and the way he won was a very dark side thing to do. He defeated the Mandalorians at the same time killing his own troops using a super weapon. So he destroyed both armies and the planet, but he won the war. So he was willing to do whatever it took, which, is very much like Sith.
Exactly, like
very much like the Sith. So that was his first brush. So after that point, he does eventually fall to the dark side, in which he become. So him and his friend Malak vanish after this. They're hailed as great heroes, but they vanish into the unknown regions to investigate a Sith influence behind the war. So they discover the Sith Empire created by Vitiate. or vitiate. So vitiate actually tricks them. He's controlling them. He's mind controlling them through the Force, and he appoints them as Darth Revan and Darth Malak, and he tasks them with finding the mystical StarForge. So the StarForge is essentially what it sounds like. It is a factory that could create mini ships, mini droids, lots of things in no time, and it would use a sun to do this. So they were both tasked with finding the StarForge to, fuel a Sith Empire. I mean, that's pretty obvious. They do eventually break free from the mind control, but they use the StarForge for themselves. So they're still bad at this point, and they create their own Sith Empire. And they so it was like their intentions were both good and bad at this point. They wanted to unify the galaxy, just the way they were going about it wasn't necessarily the best, I guess. So they create their own Sith Empire. They have a massive fleet, and they want to unify the galaxy and destroy the Sith. So they return back as conquerors, which ends up resulting in a Jedi civil war. So Revan almost actually succeeds in accomplishing what he set out to do, but his friend Malak betrays him. He usurped the throne and, fires aboard his flagship, eventually kind of just throwing this whole thing off. So Revan almost dies. The Jedi order Bastila Shan to heal him and then to bring him before the council. So what the council does next is not necessarily, this was kind of the hypocrisy that a lot of the Jedi ended up seeing. They mind wipe Revan to bring him back to the light side, and then task him to find the StarForge. So he ends up going on throughout a lot of these journeys searching for the StarForge and falls in love with Bastila Shan. Well, they eventually end up finding the Sith Emperor Vitiate again, and is now trapped into a stasis for, I believe it was 300 years, in which the Emperor and Revan kind of fought each other mentally. They were waging a war in their minds. So he's stalling his Sith invasion, Vitiate, and prevents this from happening. So in the meantime, the toll it took on Revan, his body and his mind, after he was freed, he eventually died, but because of what happened and what's been done to him, there's such a divide of the light side and the dark that he splits off into two separate beings. So very similar to the way a lot of people view Darth Vader, as Darth Vader being a character and Anakin being a character, but they just share the same body, is very similar to what Darth Revan did. But it was taken a step farther, and they actually separated. So you had an evil Revan and you had a good Revan at this point. So eventually Darth Revan, they were both set on trying to finish off killing the Sith Vitiate. So eventually he ends up doing so, and they merge the two back together, eventually bringing Revan to peace and killing him. But, that's just brief overview. I believe Star Wars Theory does a deeper video, and he explains it definitely better than I do. So, great character, extremely complex. So, great character all around. I'm really just disappointed that he hasn't had any time in, say, like the Clone Wars or something. But during his time as a Sith, he did end up having followers. They were called the Revanites. To a lot of people, Revan was not a common name. The only people who knew about Revan were very few. But he has a very direct link to Darth Bane. and his holocron containing a lot of his knowledge. So Darth Revan's a great character in my opinion, with a very complex origin story in history, and an all around just powerful character. So very interesting dude.
I agree. Christian, you're breaking up like my audio. I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on your end.
Can
Is it on mine? Can you hear me
else
good?
hear me pretty good? People in the comments, can you hear me good?
Yeah, I'm gonna reload my page. I'll be right back. Here,
Okay. All right. So I believe that finishes our topic of Darth Revan. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic as River's coming back. So our next topic is the Ahsoka Show. So for most of you, you probably know that
can you hear me?
Ahsoka
Hello?
is getting... Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're coming across good.
Oh no. Well, there we go again.
Okay, so as I was saying, so Ahsoka's getting her own show along with several other people. It was in the Disney release, I believe, back in December. Wasn't that when that was discussed?
I think so.
Yeah, the Ahsoka Show. Yeah,
Didn't we actually do a podcast on all of the releases
back in December.
back in December? So
yeah, we did.
you could definitely go back and watch that.
I just actually heard. Yeah, we can go back and watch that. The reason I wanted to talk about that because I thought I heard some news on the Ahsoka Show, or let me see. No, it was news about the casting, I believe, for it was a casting news for the Kenobi show and the Andor show. So it was just the casting was there was this woman who looks like well, you could say that she looks like Obi-Wan when we see Satine in the Obi-Wan show and the Andor show or something like that. You think that's a possibility?
Probably.
Maybe.
See, I'm more curious to see what happens in the Ahsoka show if Thrawn shows up. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That was what. Yeah, I want to see Thrawn in live action. Who do you think can play Thrawn in live action?
Ian, who do you think will play?
I was thinking.
I do not know.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's just directly answer this question. So, Ian, what do you think about the Ahsoka show?
Yeah.
It's going to be great because Ahsoka's awesome, and so that means the show's going to be awesome.
Well said.
Boom. Answered the question.
That was a...
All right, River,
okay.
what do you got?
Cool. I was going to say, I believe I thought it was going to be something with the War Between Worlds, perhaps. So that's all I'm going to say. We talked about that. Go back in the podcast that we talked about the top 10 or the shows. Okay, moving on to our next question. Ian he really wants to answer this question. You can tell he was excited to talk about why Star Wars is very successful. So, Ian, would you like to take us away with your response here?
Why Star Wars was so successful was because it was awesome. There you go.
Well said. There you go. All right, River, why do you think it was so successful?
Okay. I think it was so successful because of maybe it's just the story and, making you that I don't know, it's interesting. Music is really good. Everything's well put together, I think. So, yeah. It just makes you want to know more, something about it.
I think it was so successful just because, a lot of people like science fiction. A lot of people like the fact that, it's fake, but since it's kind of based on science, it just applies even more. I think the fact that they had characters that everyone loved appealed to everyone, and just all around a great story. I think Star Wars was just really good, and the fact that it had a lot of potential. and a great story, which made it so successful. So, 40 years later is still doing amazing things. So, Star Wars has definitely been an amazing story.
I agree. I'm so sorry about my audio. You know what? I restarted my computer. I did everything that I was supposed to. I even have it like the closest Wi-Fi. Maybe it's Cube Branch Vector. Is that a new Wi-Fi thing? I'll try that next week. I gotta get it fixed soon. I have to. Like every other device is like working perfectly. Like if I logged into my phone, it would be perfect. I want to do it on my Mac because it's like the easiest. So maybe I'll find another computer to do it on, perhaps. Because I was on a Zoom call with Ian the other day, and he said it was working good. Then was it Ian? Right?
Yeah, it was working pretty good. So, that must be totally your laptop or computer.
Well, hopefully
I think
it seems like your audio and video is working great, which is perfect because that means we can get into this debate. So,
ooh, what? I mean, it doesn't have to be a debate.
No,
Welcome
it's a debate.
to
It's going
Class
to be a
101.
All right. Well, debate class. Welcome, class. We have a.
Actually, before we start anything, people in the comments tell us who you think is better. Before we start saying anything, we need to hear what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, what your voice has to tell us. By the way, I may be auditioning for.
Okay, so before the people in the comments tell us what they think, let's go ahead and just briefly say which one we like better. So, Ian, you start first.
Clones.
Okay, River.
Yeah, Ian's on my side. I'd say clones too.
See, I have to go Stormtrooper all the way. So,
dear.
Even though, look, wait, this is a Stormtrooper right here, though, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't think Stormtrooper. I mean, I wanted it to be a clone trooper. If you could find a new logo that's a clone trooper, I may change it.
I'm not finding a new logo. I love that logo.
You like this logo? Oh,
I love the logo. Year by year is with me, so
Smith says clones, and year by year says stormtroopers.
Okay, so we got 3 clones, 2 stormtroopers. So
I like George Smith's logic. He's smart.
Come on, people in comments, back me up.
Neither.
Boss Junior's just like neither. Okay, Boss, who you think is better? If he says droids, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I'll leave.
Okay.
Ooh, see, that should have been our. See, there, I called it. That should have been our debate. Who is better, the droids or the clones?
All right, we can add that to it because I know my answer.
No. That's not. That's different.
It'll still be clones.
We'll have that for another debate. But
okay. Do you want?
So
why?
You two, why are clones better?
River.
Okay, I think.
Wait, which troopers? Russian man, which troopers?
Clone
troopers or
clones?
Okay,
it's 3-3 on the troopers, guys.
I think
StarForce 66. Go first.
Are better because they were made to be in battle. They were made to be in battle. And have you ever? All right. So remember the scene right here. All right. With in A New Hope with Obi-Wan and Luke when right before Luke finds out that his parents are dead. Do you remember that scene? When Obi-Wan says these stormtroopers, the bullets are too precise for stormtroopers. They're just precisely as stormtroopers, something like that. He words it different, but stormtroopers are actually not accurate at all. Like whenever they shoot, Ian, you agree with me? Like, are they accurate?
Yeah, they miss everything. It can be like right in front of their blaster, and it goes out the other end.
Yeah, that's what I think. And so I think Obi-Wan possibly could be talking about clones because Luke doesn't know the difference between them at the moment. He's been on Tatooine the entire time. But maybe C-3PO is like, sure, I don't know, who cares? So just the entire story. The clones were made to be in battle. They've been trained. They all call each other brother. Now, stormtroopers, on the other hand, I think they just are recruits for possibly wanting the job. Maybe they're not all into it, but the clones troopers,
Some
they're like
stormtroopers join the Empire for really anything. Clone troopers were really
they're all
family.
brothers. They were made to be in battle, but basically because they're clones, and they're clones of not only a random person, but they're clones of like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy at the moment. So that's just my opinion. I didn't even look at my notes.
Okay, Ian, I assume you feel the same.
Pretty much, just clones. They were designed, made for war. Stormtroopers were taken as little kids, pretty much. Be like, all right, here's a blaster, go shoot something. Clones were like taught, pretty much. From when they were made, they were taught. So, clones, for sure.
Precise.
Okay.
Precise. That's the word I was looking for. Only stormtroopers are separate.
Enough of the junk that you guys are talking about. Let's talk about the good
one
ones,
more.
the
Can I say one
stormtroopers.
more thing?
No, we're talking about the
Just
stormtroopers now.
Please.
Fine.
It's regard. So do you remember when Obi-Wan, when he told Luke Anakin was like the best starfighter pilot in the galaxy? I don't think he was, but you would just say that to make his actually this is off topic.
I was gonna say, what does that have to do with clones?
Yeah, I was just thinking of A New Hope and later.
Oh, okay. So ready? I'm about to lay down the truth of why stormtroopers are better. So first off, stormtroopers. So stormtroopers were the original. Okay, they were the beginning. They're the ones that we had from the beginning. I feel like the clones were created to help explain the stormtroopers, just because stormtroopers came first. Stormtroopers are better because, like you guys were saying, clones were made. They were soldiers. They didn't have a life. They weren't given the chance to do anything other than fight. They weren't. Some could advance in the military, but they all served the military. They ended up serving the Empire in the end. So either way, they're essentially the same in that aspect.
That's actually not true, because Palpatine had them say.
But they didn't know that. He had them emplaced with the chip. They were Palpatine's to begin with. So the clones were essentially the first version of stormtroopers, in the aspect that Palpatine just needed a cover for giving the Republican army. The clones were made, so they weren't given a decision, whereas the stormtroopers were recruited.
No, they were taken by their families.
They were recruited.
Not all of them were recruited. Not all of them. Were all of them
some
recruited?
Were recruited, some were.
It doesn't. Hey, taken. I didn't interrupt you guys. You can't interrupt me. So
fine.
So stormtroopers were given a choice to join or not. Granted, those who didn't were pretty much put into prison. But stormtroopers were the first. There was that competition among each other. There was the drive to be better. For instance, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, he rose through the ranks he would have been a stormtrooper. I mean, he was a cadet. He would have been a trooper. He would have ended up graduating and go all the way. So stormtroopers weren't going to be just stormtroopers. I mean, they had the possibility of becoming admiral or even a general, whereas clones never went higher than commander. So
that's still pretty high.
Oh, and on the discussion of precise versus accuracy. So the clones may have been accurate and the stormtroopers may have been precise, but it doesn't matter. Stormtroopers may have missed anything, but precision is not accuracy. So say that you're shooting at a target. Precision would be that all of your shots hit in the same area, whether you're hitting at the edge of the target or where. That's precise because they're all in the same spot. Accuracy would have been you're getting close to scoring the bullseye. You've got a grouping where it looks better. So whereas stormtroopers may not have been very accurate. They were very precise in the aspect that they shot in the exact same spot. So stormtroopers were better just because they were the original. They set the pattern for the clones. There was decision. Their ranks were better. They were given better opportunities over the clones. I mean, I feel like the clones were kind of gypped. I mean, the clones were just essentially flesh versions of the droids, I feel like. So since the stormtroopers had more of a will, that it was better than the clones. So stormtroopers all the way.
All right, yeah, you made some really good points. Stormtroopers were the first ones, but also the fact where when you think of stormtroopers, you think of stormtroopers, but when you think of clones, you think of Rex, Cody, Fives, Wolf.
It's specific.
And so you think, and they actually had names. They had their own personality.
And they were with Jedi. Everything.
Stormtroopers were, hey, GH3321, how's it going? But in the clones, they were like, hey Rex, how's it going? Oh, hey Cody. They had their own personalities.
Well, that was done intentionally. I feel like because I have a feeling Palpatine would have intentionally designed the troopers to only be designated as numbers, not to form that emotional attachment to each other, so that they would focus more on fighting than each other. As Harrison McFall brings up, clones were off of Jango. Clones were not original. They're all replicas of Jango Fett. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about Cody or Rex or Wolf or Gregor or Jesse or whoever you're talking about. They're all essentially the same because they all were created off of Jango. So yeah, you may have gotten to know the clones better, but they were all essentially the same. You know, as one of the instructors brought out in the season 3, episode 1, he said that you may cut your hair, you can tattoo yourself, but you're all the same. You all share the same face, all have the same DNA. So he was a bounty hunter, but the thing is he was right. They're all the same. There is no difference between them except for a name. Whereas Palpatine would have created the troopers to not form emotional attachments amongst each other, which is probably why you never got to know the troopers. But at the same time, I feel like if there was a 7-season series dedicated to the stormtroopers, everyone would love stormtroopers.
I don't know. What would the season of stormtroopers be about? Because the clones, they have the Jedi with them. They have the Jedi that they are fighting with. Who are the stormtroopers fighting with and learning from every single day?
There's several comics. There's several books created about certain troopers who would have tried to get close to Darth Vader. There's, you had the troopers who were Palpatine's personal guards. I mean, there would have been troopers who were assigned certain missions. I mean, Phasma. Think of like an entire series dedicated to Captain Phasma. It's no different than the Clone Wars, but just imagine the same thing for the stormtroopers. So imagine you're following, say, the admiral of a platoon or something, or you're following a certain platoon. I think stormtroopers are gypped because they weren't given the attention that the clones were. But since the clones were only showed up in half of the movie in Attack of the Clones, they have the Clone Wars, and then they show up in Revenge of the Sith, and that's all you get out of them. I feel like that they only had the series just because that was it.
Yeah, you make fair points.
Stormtroopers, they existed longer. Like I said, they were the originals, so
okay, but we can all agree that
in our timeline,
they just executed Order 65, there would be no stormtroopers. So,
well, but if that's the case, there would have been no point for the clones either. So, I mean that's kind of a double negative right there. So, 65 would have been the immediate the immediate call for the arrest of the Supreme Chancellor.
To be arrested or, if necessary, killed. Ooh.
See, the only reason why Order 65 wouldn't work is because since Palpatine pretty much controls all of the Senate, he could overrule his own trial. So Order 65 wouldn't work. Stormtroopers still would have existed. And like I said, the clones just basically explained why the Stormtroopers existed. If you recall, the Stormtroopers came first, then the clones, and then the First Order. So I feel like the clones were created to just kind of explain the Stormtroopers, even though got a lot of... and some clones ended up being Stormtroopers. So granted, a lot of them died early on due to the accelerated growth, but a lot of the clones ended up becoming Stormtroopers. So the very thing that you guys hate is also the very thing that you guys love. As my good friend Harvey Dent Batman put it, you either die as the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that's exactly what happened with the clones.
A few clones.
A lot.
That is
a few. No.
Not all.
A lot of the
not
clones
a few,
turned to
but-
Stormtroopers.
Not all. Yeah, but not a lot of them. A lot of the clones, like Rex, Gregor, Wolf. Maybe there's other.
If you think about that, they would have already had
seen
their
Rebels.
inhibitor chips removed. But there was clones who purposely wanted to join the Empire. So, whereas
And there
you're
were
focusing
Stormtroopers.
on the good clones, a majority of the clones would have joined. So,
Yeah, okay. Example, Hawk. He was abandoned, and then he found the Empire, and he got really close to Darth Vader. So yes, you are right.
so yes, so a series about Hawk would have been great.
Hawk is a clone trooper that went to a battle. Oh, which battle was it? Do not remember.
Who
the
turned
battle.
into a stormtrooper, but stormtroopers I feel like are better just because they're more you're going to recognize a stormtrooper better than you will a clone.
Right.
And if I recall, stormtroopers walk around Disney more than clones do, so stormtroopers are better to a lot of people. So
I like
bringing-
there's. Oh my gosh, Galaxy's Edge is. Let me just say, Luke. There was this world I saw called Lucas Land or something like that. That would have been awesome. That it's like different planets that you could visit in Disney World. Here, let me show you. I'll share my screen real quick. It's called Lucas Land. It's awesome. Like I saw this thing about it. Let me see if I can bring it up for everybody. Let's see. Hold on just 1 second. By the way, Black Zebra.
So I think I won this
like
debate. I'm just saying I won this debate. I don't know who actually won this debate, but I feel like I
It was
won this debate.
4-4. We were all tied
tied.
up, I think. So
We tied.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're just
so
gonna-
someone else needs to say stormtroopers are better.
No.
Someone else please say stormtroopers are better.
All right.
tweet.
Okay.
and then-
Let me know if you can see my screen.
No.
Oh, okay. So
You can't-
real quick, Hawk was a clone. You follow more of his story in a comic, I believe, or a
Mhm.
graphic novel. But Hawk was a clone who, I can't remember the story very well. But as Ian said, eventually became a stormtrooper. He really liked the strategy of war. I mean, he was more attracted to the strategy and the constant thinking, almost as if he was just a good chess master. Hawk eventually does die, but he tries to get close to Darth Vader and to, impress him.
No,
Hawk is a very
Hawk does impress Darth Vader, and Darth Vader really actually likes Hawk, and so they pretty much.
So I mean, Hawk was a great story, but just not a very common story. So that's one you definitely got to research. But Hawk,
Theory. He made an episode about Hawk, so you'll have to go find that one. It'll explain a little bit more about Hawk
Right.
and his story.
Sorry, my thing got frozen when I when I shared my screen. So just everybody on your own time, you can look up Lucas planets. See how cool that would have been. It's like different planets instead of galaxies. Not this Tatooine. That would have been pretty cool. Okay, I was freezing up a little more. Well, we got our last one. Hope everyone's enjoyed this podcast before. Normally, we have a lot of people who like to listen to it after, like not live, but like listen to the podcast version or just whatever, like on their own time, so they don't have to keep up with this live. All right, so here we go. The Jedi Council Q&A. I will be Master Yoda. Master Yoda is here for your training. Okay. Yeah, that was probably not that good. Or I could be whoever you want me to be. I'll be Obi-Wan. No, I'll be Yoda. So I'm going to be asking you a few questions that the Jedi Council has prepared for you. I should be in the middle, but I don't know how to put.
Oh, I thought the Jedi Council Q&A is what because they asked questions and we tried to answer them.
Yeah, me too.
Oh. You want to do that? Well, I only had like.
I don't know where you're going with.
See, because that would make more sense, because then we would be like the Jedi Council and they'd be asking us questions.
That is true. That is definitely true. Okay.
We could also call it like the Republic Senate Q&A.
Do you want me to rename? What should I rename it to? The Republic Senate Q&A.
We could be the Republic Senate, and then we can each be like senators.
With a big duck at the top, right? The big duck at the top, right?
Which is cool because because now I get to sit in my own like floaty disc thingy.
Floaty disc.
I don't know what they were called. Anyone know what those things were called?
Yeah, I think we did get a few questions earlier in the podcast. Let me catch up. Palps, my friend Palp. Who shot fives? Oh, we answered that one.
So who shot fives? That would have been Fox,
right?
Fox, yeah.
Yeah. I don't agree. Palpatine, everything under control. Oh, okay. So he thinks Palpatine's plan was perfect. Wait. Palpatine, everything under control. Wanda, what? What's he saying?
He's quoting Wanda from WandaVision, which she said, "Don't worry, I have everything under control."
Oh, that's right.
Universes.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, whoever. Okay. Interesting. But okay, that's your opinion. I think.
Okay, so I didn't see this earlier, but I have to agree with Sweet Alabama said earlier. They said Ahsoka is more tragic than Fives, and I agree.
I like that song.
That's true.
Why is Ahsoka more tragic than Fives, though? I agree with you year by year. The Fives died, and that's like the most tragic you could get.
Ahsoka was awesome.
Okay, but that's as tragic as you got. But Ahsoka was, Ahsoka was. You got to know Ahsoka more than you got to know Fives, and then her betrayal by the hands of the Jedi Council. I mean, she was still living, so she still had a story. But after Fives died, I mean, what's more to sit there and tell? And besides, he was just a clone. No offense, but he was just a clone. So how could his be more tragic than, say, when Tuck died or when Heavy died? How could Five's death be more tragic than the bunch of clones who died? So it's like... So Ahsoka is definitely more tragic, especially since her tragedy continues on through Rebels and afterwards, and in the story of the Ahsoka book. And her tragedy takes place more than Fives does. So I think that's why hers would be more tragic.
Okay, well, that's a good explanation. I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, you can. Are you going to argue with this? I don't like this.
Oh, I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, let's go ahead and answer. No, I'm not answering that. Okay. Welcome Bike has a question.
Wait, hold on.
We got recent questions. What if Vader didn't die? Why did Vader die?
Oh, is that one of the questions? Why did
Well, that was
Vader
one
die?
of the questions.
Okay,
What if
let's
Vader
go
didn't
here.
die?
Which movie is your favorite? I think he means Star Wars movies. So, do you want to answer that one?
Okay,
First.
so my favorite is Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith. So,
Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back's my two favorite.
All right, my favorite is A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. So we all have different ones. We all have like our different one for top two, which is interesting. Okay, we'll go into some explanation in the podcast. But we have an interesting question here. What if Vader didn't die? So I'm assuming as well
awesome.
that he means like
so
yeah.
essentially, I don't necessarily know what he would mean by what if Vader didn't die, because since a lot of people consider Darth Vader and Anakin to be two different characters, is he talking about like if Vader didn't rescue Luke and still would have been Darth Vader, or is he referring to when Vader was dying or Anakin was dying and Luke took off his helmet? So, I mean, that's a great question. We should probably answer that in another podcast.
Yeah, we can maybe do a whole podcast devoted to what if Vader didn't die.
Okay, but we can definitely answer why did Vader die. So
I want to answer.
Go ahead, Ian.
All right, so he pretty much picked up. We all know that he picked up the Emperor while he was doing his electrical shock to Luke. So, and since he had that pretty much breather and all that robotics, it messed up everything. So he wasn't breathing, so he pretty much suffocated, and so he died, pretty much, because of the Emperor's lightning shock.
So to kind of expound on what Ian is saying, so
right,
not a lot of people know this, but Darth Vader's suit was actually designed as a weakness. So not only is Anakin essentially like half dead when he's rescued, so a lot of him is damaged internally and externally, hence the purpose of the Vader suit. But Vader actually had a better suit, one that allowed him would have been more like a Jedi, more like his old self. But Palpatine didn't want him to do this because, as long as he was in this slow suit, he could have control over him. But the suit was also very easy to electrocute. So it would have been very easy for Palpatine to kill him through his suit. So that when Anakin had picked up the Emperor to throw him over, and the Emperor was electrocuting him, it would have fried a lot of his circuitry, as well as just killing him in the process.
Okay. So that's a good explanation. I would like to answer this next question I see here, if that's okay.
So how did Palpatine not notice?
How did Palpatine not notice Vader going to kill him? That's a good question. I really like that one question. I actually didn't know this until a few days ago, or probably weeks ago. So I think the answer to that is Palpatine was so focused on trying to kill Luke that he wasn't really thinking about anything else, and he was just using the dark side so fully that he was just trying to kill Luke, and that was like his goal, because, or just make him hurt because of what Vader was thinking. So I think whenever Palpatine was trying to kill Luke, he just didn't notice Vader and didn't have time to react, and he just could use all of his Force lightning as quick as possible. That's what I think. I'll turn my camera off because I see it's still lagging a little bit. Sorry. But I think that's just my opinion. Do you have another reasoning?
No, that's a pretty good answer.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
All right, good. Whew, finally we agree on an answer. I'm joking.
Stormtroopers.
Getting on this debate class again, huh?
Can I do a video on comics?
What kind of comics?
He said
Darth Vader comics.
Actually, speaking of that, I have as soon as I began the channel about 2 months ago, I did record some parts of the Darth Vader 1 through 7 series and like I voiced Darth Vader and all. I just don't know when to release it, but I still have to do some editing regarding like when I should show the comics and all that. So that may be out soon. So yeah, I'll definitely do that soon. Maybe like a recap of 2020 Darth Vader comics would be interesting. Maybe in a few, like part 1, part 2, maybe. Yeah. What if Padme never met Anakin?
I feel like that question would take a while. I feel like we should answer that question actually in a podcast.
Right, that would be, or like an own video by itself, even.
Definitely, but that's definitely a great question. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I like that question.
Okay, so what if Judah was here? This podcast would be amazing, but since Judah's not here, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I think we can all agree that the podcast would be better if Judah was here. So,
yeah, it would be a little more. It would be interesting because it'd be 4 people instead of 3.
Ooh, I want to answer the next question.
Okay.
So I believe Anakin wanted to be on the council because. Okay, you got an answer. Okay, so we'll both answer it at different times. So I feel like Anakin wanted to be on the council because he would have evidently seen maybe the inaction of the council. You know, stuff that a lot of the Jedi would have motioned on. But since Anakin was a different Jedi and was really kind of bent on using what he did to help people, I feel like he wanted to be on the council as a way to do that, as a way to kind of voice his opinions. And because of that, I also feel like that's why it was so easy for him to be persuaded by Palpatine, because that's exactly what Palpatine was offering, was a way to help people. Just in the aspect of he wanted to save Padme, he wanted to bring back his mother, and Palpatine was promising that. So I feel like that was part of why. So I think Anakin was actually just wanting to be on the council to do good, just because it felt like he was voicing a lot of opinions that maybe some other Jedi would have had at one point, but would have buried it down just due to the way the Jedi Order was at that time. So that's what I feel like is the answer to that question. So
okay, yeah, that's a little longer answer than I had. So that was a good. I think
same answer I would have.
Yeah, it's the same. It's a similar subject. I think one of the other reasons, perhaps, is because he wanted to find out. I saw this in a video. He wanted to learn about the restriction section that only Jedi Masters could go to, in the council. Like he wanted to learn like how to possibly save people from 9. He wanted to find answers there instead of going to Palpatine. I think, and yeah, that's my answer. That, you know, just like stuff that only Master Jedis can get at, because there is like this section that, you know, you remember in the Jedi Temple, there's this section that only
the
Masters can go to.
And everything, yeah.
Right. He wanted to go
the
to
holocron vault.
He wanted to see that, yeah.
Which leads to the Sith holocron vault. So
maybe. Okay, I turned my camera on. Hopefully, it's not laggy anymore. Okay. Who was your least favorite Jedi.
Okay, so Ian, you want to answer that one first?
He doesn't like Yoda.
Who doesn't like Yoda? Yoda's great.
Look at what he said. That's right.
Oh.
I think Boss Jr. is like messing with me because he keeps saying the exact opposite of everything I say. But
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if I have a least favorite Jedi.
What if he just said, I do not? Revan's the worst. You don't have a least favorite Jedi? That's good.
No, not really. Or if I do, I can't think of the name right now.
I really.
All right, River, you got a least.
Jedi, to be honest.
Okay, my least favorite Jedi is Ki-Adi Mundi, just because he's a jerk. Simple as that. He's a jerk.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
He's a jerk.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
We're talking about something else, and then he brings up the droid attack on the Wookiees. Like, we're not talking about that. What about the droid attack? Then go take care of it.
All right. I think we should answer this last question that Harrison asked.
Let's see. There's one more question we're gonna answer.
Which scene of all Star Wars is the saddest?
So if you have stream, save it next time. Which scene of all of Star Wars is the saddest? For me, it's when Anakin dies. Why am I laughing? When Anakin dies. Who wants to answer this one first?
I'd have to agree with you, Harrison McFall, because that was pretty sad.
That is definitely. Then the music in that part I remember was definitely sad too. So I look like what's his name? Coleman Trevor. That's my least favorite Jedi, Coleman Trevor. Okay, why am I laughing? Do you have a saddest scene, Christian?
I do. What? Okay, I just want to hear what your saddest scene is, though.
The saddest scene is either this one right here when Anakin's mom dies, or I would have to say I'm not gonna bring up fives again, so sorry. I'm gonna have to say when Vader and Luke are together. That's pretty sad.
I'm gonna have to say the saddest scene is the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar. So
that is or when Vader
was the saddest but the coolest lightsaber battle ever, though.
The longest lightsaber battle, the coolest lightsaber battle, and then the saddest scene too.
See, I think they said something that part was about 3-hour fight scene, so they had to cut that back.
Oh yeah, they said it was going to be like a really, really, really long fight scene between the two of them. So even though it's still the longest fight scene, it was supposed to be longer.
Well, it's like a 40-minute deleted scenes of just them fighting. Oh my gosh, that would be
awesome.
Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
It's like a whole movie by itself. Anakin versus Obi-Wan, 3 hours long.
3 hours.
That would be.
Everybody will watch it.
It'd be like
that would be awesome.
It'd be like Street Fighter, but Star Wars version.
Right. One more sad scene was when Vader, when he asked Palpatine if Padme alive, and when he yells no, that's a pretty sad scene. Now I don't think as sad as some other scenes, but definitely pretty sad. All right, well, the last comment we have here is Mundi had lots of
Yeah, so Ki-Adi-Mundi had a lot of kids because he was actually he had permission from the council to actually have kids and wives due to the fact his species was going extinct. So he actually ended up having 4 wives and then a bunch of kids. But the thing was he didn't care about any of them. He showed no affection to any of them. He didn't care about any of them. When they all died, he just completely brushed it off. So yeah, so Ki-Adi-Mundi was a jerk, and he's my least favorite Jedi. So
yeah.
Well, I mean that is another reason why now you made me not like him as much anymore. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Well, I believe that's going to do it for this podcast.
Okay, let's end it. Everyone say go Stormtroopers.
Go Clone Troopers.
Stormtroopers.
Clone Troopers.
Everyone don't say anything.
Oh, I forgot this reason.
Oh,
okay.
No.
Okay. What do you think of what a complete abuse of power. Okay, so as I was saying,
you can
unlimited
a
power.
storm is awesome and is powerful, and they're called stormtroopers, so they are awesome, powerful troopers.
No,
Clone
they're not.
troopers.
There's so many of them. They're clones and clones and clones. It's millions.
Exactly.
So that's better. The more the better. You know that saying?
The more the merrier.
More the merrier. Yeah, that's what.
See, but the thing is more the merrier of the exact same person does not apply. So. Oh, and since Django died,
come on.
since Django died, they couldn't use his DNA
The Mace
anymore.
Windu.
So
That's
then
actually not true. Mm-mm. False. I deny your
they
comment.
couldn't use his DNA anymore. They couldn't
Yes,
stretch
they
it
did.
anymore.
They could. They did.
They did, but they couldn't
Guys are
safely
crazy.
stretch his DNA anymore.
They had so much more of his DNA. They
No,
took
they didn't.
samples of it.
See, they took samples of it, but they needed him. They needed him there so that they would have an unlimited supply.
And year by year, know what they're talking
Stormtroopers
Boba?
all day long. Boba was a
They
clone.
had Boba, right?
But
But he was the
Boba
closest
a clone.
to.
Oh, but he
No,
was
he
the
wasn't.
He didn't have
coolest.
accelerate.
He was just unaltered, but he was still a clone. Stormtroopers are better.
All right, we'll end it there. debate is
We're ended
over.
with clones
And the winner
Stormtroopers.
is Clone Troopers.
Clones
I
are
got
better.
Harrison. Okay, so it's I believe it's like 4. I gotta go back and see who's all with me now. So I know I got 2 people on
We
my
got
side.
1, 2
Clones
clones,
for
and we got
4.
2 storm-
3 Stormtroopers. Clones
like
win.
equal. Yeah, you go back and count it all. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's too much time. Wait, Order 69 is best. That's what Harrison said.
See, I can't tell. I think Sweet Alabama flipped on me. Because I
Oh,
think
did
at
Then he is
first
smart. Sweet
I think
Alabama is
so.
smart.
No, it's 4 because Russian man said Stormtroopers, so
Fine, 4
it's 4 against 4.
It's tied.
Oh,
I'm trying
and
to get back.
Year by Year also flipped on me too. Year by Year and Sweet Alabama both betrayed me because they both said Stormtroopers earlier.
They just say,
we won.
treason.
It's a tie.
I technically
It's
won.
Yeah, whatever.
No, they
whatever.
I technically won, but
It's treason.
it's cheesy.
Oh, yeah. All right, so before we end it, I have one more thing to say. Regarding my fan film, I am actually my Ezra Bridger fan film is the script of it is pretty close to being done to the script. We are definitely have done a lot regarding the script, so I'm thinking possibly it may release sometime before May 30th, maybe May 4th. I wanted to do but at the beginning I wanted to do it May 4th or May 30th because May the 4th be with you. That's an
Do
interesting.
it May 4th. Do it May 4th.
I know I want to do it May 4th, but in the end of the fan film it says releasing May 30th. So maybe I can have my other fan film releasing May 4th, which Ian, you know what that one's about.
Mm-hmm.
I know what that one's about.
It's great.
I'll tell you if anyone flips over to the Stormtrooper side.
Put them in the background, River.
Anyone want to know? Just say that Stormtroopers are better, and I'll say.
Don't.
Damn.
No.
Okay, so I want to do it May 4th. That's all I'm gonna say. So maybe, possibly, instead of May 30th, it could end up being May 4th. That would be interesting. Oh, Pablo, I think I know which Pablo is. Ooga booga.
It's treason then.
Okay, Sweet
I
Alabama.
don't know why Sweet Alabama said it's treason then. He was the one who committed treason against me, so he originally said Stormtroopers, and then he said clones.
Then he said it's treason. That's my favorite line. It's treason.
Execute Order 66.
That's probably your favorite.
I am
All right,
the
well.
Senate.
I am gonna go, and all I'm gonna say is, may the Force be with you. Aha.
May the
yes.
Force be with everybody. We're gonna end it right now. Well,
May the
and then
Force
Ian-
be with you.
leave. May the Force be with